The price tag does not fire the cartridge. Put two 357 Magnum lever guns on the same rack. One costs about $700. The other costs roughly $1,500. They may have similar barrel lengths, chamber the same ammunition, and send the same bullet downrange at nearly the same speed. The expensive rifle may have better walnut, cleaner machining, a smoother action, and a name with more history behind it. Those things have value. The question is how much. This ranking uses the price snapshot supplied in the original source from June of 2026. Those figures are not a promise of what any rifle costs today. Lever gun prices move, individual configurations vary, and temporary listings can distort the picture. We are judging these rifles by four things. First, useful capability. Second, how much work the owner must do after the purchase. Third, handling, loading, and sighting flexibility. Fourth, the price shown in that source snapshot. Price is not the entire score. A cheap rifle that requires repairs, replacement sights, or paid action work can lose its advantage quickly. But an expensive rifle still has to explain where the extra money went. By the end, you will know which premium rifles earn their price, which ones sell a particular experience, and why the least expensive gun can win without pretending to be the finest gun here. Like the video, subscribe, and tell me whether finish, features, or price matters most in a lever gun. Number 7. The Uberti and Cimarron 1873s. The 1873 replicas belong at the bottom for one reason. They are specialist rifles being judged by a general-purpose value standard. That is not an insult. The Uberti and Cimarron rifles give the owner the toggle-link action, traditional lines, octagonal barrels on many configurations, and the visual character associated with the original Winchester 1873. For cowboy action competition or historical enjoyment, those details are not wasted money. They are the reason the rifle exists. The source placed these rifles at roughly $1,300 and above. At that price, the buyer is paying for authenticity, finish, and a particular shooting experience. The toggle link action can be exceptionally smooth, but it is an older system than the model 1892 and Marlin 1894 designs ranked above it. The later actions were created with greater strength and broader utility in mind. That difference does not make the 1873 fragile when used with appropriate factory ammunition. It means the owner is paying a premium for history rather than receiving the broadest capability in the category. The rifle also tends to carry more weight than a simple carbine needs. That can feel steady during competition and less charming after a long walk. For the person who wants an authentic 1873 experience, there is no substitute hiding farther up this list. For the person who simply wants a practical 357 Magnum lever gun, too much of the price is tied to qualities that do not change the basic job. Beautiful can be worth paying for. It just does not win this ranking. Number 6. The Smith & Wesson 1854. The Smith & Wesson takes the opposite approach. It does not sell the 19th century. It sells modern integration. The Stealth Hunter configuration in the source carried a price around $1,300. It brought a threaded barrel, an M-lock handguard, ghost ring sights, and a flat-face trigger that the source described as one of the stronger factory triggers in the category. That gives the money a visible job. An owner interested in an optic, sling, or other lawful accessory support does not have to begin with a traditional rifle and then solve every mounting problem separately. The concern is feeding confidence. The original source cites independent testing in which the 1854 appeared more sensitive to ammunition than the older designs. The underlying test record was not supplied, so that cannot support a universal statement about every rifle. It does support a narrower caution. A newer lever gun with limited long-term history should be function tested with the exact 357 Magnum and 38 special loads the owner expects to use. That is especially important at $1,300. The trigger, sights, and factory equipment are real advantages. But a working lever gun earns trust by cycling the intended ammunition consistently, not by winning a specification contest. The Smith & Wesson may be the right choice for an owner who places modern controls and factory integration ahead of platform history. It ranks 6th because the price is high, the design is newer, and the source raises an ammunition sensitivity question that the available record does not fully resolve. That is a caution, not a conviction. Number 5. The Winchester Model 1892. This is the hardest rifle to place low because the basic design deserves respect. John Browning's Model 1892 action is compact, strong, and mechanically elegant. It became the pattern behind several less expensive rifles, including the eventual winner. The current Winchester versions are built by Moroku in Japan, and the source describes their construction and finish as genuinely excellent. The source price was about $1,500. That made the Winchester the most expensive general-purpose rifle in the comparison. What does the money buy? Better machining, better fit and finish. A refined version of one of the strongest pistol-caliber lever actions ever designed. A rifle that feels like a finished object rather than a starting point. What does it not buy? More velocity from the same ammunition and comparable barrel length. It also does not give the owner the clean optics mounting path found on a side-eject Marlin or the factory accessory support of the Henry Attents and Smith & Wesson. Modern Winchester versions also include a tang safety and rebounding hammer. Those features do not prevent the rifle from working, but some traditional buyers see them as compromises added to a classic design. No owner should interfere with a firearms safety system. The important point is simpler. A person paying the highest price in the group may still receive details he did not want. If money is secondary and the goal is a beautifully executed Model 1892, the Winchester may be the most satisfying rifle here. But this is not a craftsmanship ranking. At roughly $1,500 in the source snapshot, the Winchester asks the buyer to pay heavily for refinement, history, and the name. Those qualities are real. They are not the same as twice the capability, the number that changes the ranking. The supplied source gives one chronograph comparison that explains why barrel length matters more than the receiver's price. It reports a 185-grain hard-cast load fired from a 3-inch Ruger SP-101 and an 18-inch Marlin barrel. From the revolver, the source recorded about 1,160 feet per second. From the rifle, using ammunition from the same box, it recorded more than 1,700 feet per second. That is a gain of more than 500 feet per second in that comparison. This is one load fired from two specific guns. It is not a universal velocity table for every .357 Magnum cartridge. But the mechanism is clear. A longer barrel gives many .357 Magnum loads more time to use their powder and accelerate the bullet. The exact increase changes with ammunition and firearm, but the carbine can produce a substantial gain over a short-barreled revolver. That is what resets the value argument. The barrel and ammunition are doing most of the ballistic work. A premium receiver can improve action feel, finish, sighting flexibility, durability, and long-term satisfaction. It does not create a separate class of velocity simply because the polishing took longer. The target cannot read the invoice. From this point forward, every expensive rifle has to justify its price through ownership benefits rather than pretending it bought different physics. Number 4. The Henry Big Boy. The traditional Henry Big Boy earns 4th place because quality and value are not always moving in the same direction. The source placed the Big Boy steel around $900. It praised Henry's customer service, American manufacture, smooth operation, and out-of-the-box reliability. Those are meaningful ownership advantages. A company that supports the rifle after the first range trip can save the owner more frustration than an impressive feature list. The first trade-off is weight. The source described brass-framed versions as approaching 7 to 8 pounds before ammunition. That gives the rifle a substantial feel and helps steady it during deliberate shooting. It also means the owner carries a surprising amount of steel and brass around a pistol cartridge. The second issue is loading. Earlier Big Boy rifles relied on the removable magazine tube rather than a receiver-mounted side gate. The system works, and the tube can make unloading convenient, but topping off the rifle during use is less direct. Henry later added side-loading gates to many Big Boy models. That change matters because it removes the largest practical complaint attached to the earlier configuration while retaining the removable tube. The ranking, therefore, depends on the exact rifle. A current side-gate model is a stronger ownership package than an older tube-only version at a similar price. The Henry does not fall to fourth because it is poorly made. It falls because weight and configuration can ask the buyer to accept more inconvenience than similarly priced alternatives. Craftsmanship starts losing points when the owner has to carry it. Number 3. The Ruger-made Marlin 1894. The Marlin earns third by offering the strongest traditional all-around package. Its story matters because the name went through a period when the rifle's reputation and the rifle leaving the factory were not always the same thing. The source describes rough actions, crooked sights, and other quality problems associated with some rifles produced after Remington moved Marlin manufacturing. That period damaged confidence. After Ruger acquired the brand, production moved to a new operation in Myodan, North Carolina. The source credits the Ruger-made rifles with cold hammer-forged barrels, improved finish, smooth actions, and a return to the quality expected from the Marlin name. It also cites a Field and Stream review that fired 300 rounds through one sample and described it as a faithful return to the rifle shooters remembered. One review does not prove every rifle will perform identically. It does give the comeback a concrete piece of support. The 1894 design also gives the owner something the model 1892 pattern does not provide as cleanly. Side ejection and a solid top receiver make conventional optics, or a receiver sight, easier to mount. That matters for owners whose eyes no longer enjoy tiny traditional sights as much as they did 20 years ago. The source placed the Marlin around $950. At that price, it cost more than the Henry D10s and more than the Rossi, but it delivered a refined traditional rifle without the Winchester's $1,500 premium. The Marlin is the choice for the owner who wants classic appearance, practical optics compatibility, and a rifle that feels finished when it leaves the box. It stops at number 3 because the rifle above it offers more factory capability for slightly less money in the source snapshot. The winner performs the basic job for much less. Number 2. The Henry Big Boy X. The Henry Big Boy X is the strongest counter-argument to the Rossi. The source placed it around $890, slightly below the traditional Marlin and far below the Winchester and Smith & Wesson. For that money, it included a threaded barrel, fiber optic sights, synthetic furniture, a Picatinny rail, and M-lock mounting points. That equipment changes the owner's routine. An optic can be mounted without creating a custom solution. A sling has a clear place to attach. The threaded barrel supports lawful muzzle device or suppressor use where permitted. The synthetic furniture is less emotionally satisfying than polished walnut, but it is also less likely to make the owner worry about every scratch. The Big Boy X also combines a side-loading gate with Henry's removable magazine tube. That gives the owner 2 useful options. The rifle can be topped off through the receiver during use, and the tube can simplify unloading when the shooting is over. The trade-off is weight and style. This is still a substantial rifle. The rails, synthetic, stock, and accessory-ready appearance also move it away from the reason many people want a lever gun. A design can be practical and still look like 2 meetings ended in a draw, but the capability is difficult to dismiss. If the owner already knows he wants an optic, sling, modern sights, and a threaded muzzle, the Henry Intense can be less expensive than starting with a basic rifle and adding everything later. That is why it nearly wins. It loses only because the final rifle delivers the core lever gun experience for less money and asks the value-first buyer to give up features rather than basic function. Number 1. The Rossi R92. The Rossi wins one narrow category: useful .357 Magnum lever gun capability for the least money in the source's June 2026 snapshot. The source placed Rossi R92 configurations between roughly $700 and $850. That is not half the price of every rifle on this list. It is roughly half the source price of the Winchester and several $100s below most premium alternatives. The Rossi is based on the same Browning Model 1892 design family that gives the Winchester its compact strength. That does not mean a Rossi is finished to the same standard as a Morocco-built Winchester. It does not mean every individual rifle will have the same action feel, sight alignment, wood fit, or quality control. It means the underlying design is not where Rossi saved the money. The savings appear in execution, finish, factory equipment, and the consistency expected from one individual sample to another. That distinction decides the verdict. With comparable barrel lengths and the same ammunition, the Rossi does not operate under different ballistic rules. The cartridge receives the same opportunity to accelerate regardless of the roll mark on the receiver. The expensive rifle can feel better. It cannot make the same cartridge ignore the barrel and obey the receipt. The buyer does accept conditions. The individual rifle must be inspected carefully. Sight alignment, lever movement, loading gate behavior, screw condition, wood fit, and general assembly all matter. Then the rifle must prove it can cycle the exact factory ammunition intended for it. That is not an invitation to perform home gunsmithing. It is the condition that protects the value argument. A Rossi that requires paid corrective work, replacement parts, or repeated service trips is no longer the bargain. A mechanically sound R92 that runs the intended ammunition is. The Winchester remains the finer object. The Marlin remains the cleaner premium traditional package. The Henry Tense remains the better factory-ready modern tool. The Rossi wins because the value-first buyer surrenders refinement and accessories before surrendering the basic job. The extra money does buy something. Uberti sells historical form and competition character. Smith & Wesson sells modern integration and a feature-heavy factory package. Winchester sells the most refined version of the classic Model 1892 experience. Traditional Henry rifles sell American-made character, company support, and substantial construction. Marlin sells the best balanced premium traditional package. The Henry Tense sells factory readiness and avoids much of the expense of adding equipment later. Rossi sells the basic mechanical proposition, a compact lever action, a carbine-length barrel, 357 Magnum and compatible 38 special ammunition. Enough money left over that the rifle does not have to become the entire shooting budget. That does not make the Rossi the finest rifle in the ranking. It makes it the winner under the announced standard. The victory also has a price condition. The R92 wins when the individual rifle is mechanically sound and its real price remains meaningfully below the Henry Tense and Marlin. If that gap closes, the Henry Tense becomes the smarter modern package and the Marlin becomes easier to justify as the better finished traditional rifle. But at the source's $700 to $850 range, the Rossi keeps enough distance to hold first place. The price tag does not fire the cartridge. It only decides how much money remains after the rifle does.